Right now, you smell like almost nothing. Soap stripped it, deodorant buried it, a little perfume painted over whatever was left. But you are the first kind of human in 300,000 years to walk around scentless. Every single one of your ancestors carried a smell so strong, so personal, you'd recognize your own mother in total darkness by it alone. We didn't just lose that. We scrubbed it away on purpose. So what did we actually erase? Let's start with the body itself. You have somewhere around 4 million sweat glands. Most of them are simple. They cool you down with salty water that barely smells at all. But tucked into your armpits, your groin, and a few other places are a different kind, called apocrine glands. They don't switch on to cool you. They switch on when you feel something: stress, fear, attraction. And the fluid they release isn't really sweat. It's a thick, fatty cocktail of proteins and lipids that does almost nothing on its own. Then the bacteria arrive. Your skin is a living city of microbes, and they feed on that fatty fluid the moment it surfaces. What they leave behind is body odor, so the smell you spend money every single day to erase isn't really coming from you. It's coming from billions of organisms living on you, eating you, and announcing the results to the world. For your ancestors, that announcement was never silenced. It ran 24 hours a day for their entire lives. And here's what that smell was actually saying. A human scent is not noise. It's data. Hidden inside it are chemical signals about your diet, your health, your stress levels, even your immune system. Studies have shown that people can smell fear sweat and react to it without knowing why. Mothers can identify their own newborns by scent within days. Newborns can find their mother's breast guided by smell alone before their eyes can even focus. This isn't some faded backup sense. It's one of the oldest channels of information the human body ever had, and your ancestors were fluent in it. And it goes further than just reading each other. You can catch each other's emotions through scent. In a series of experiments, researchers collected the sweat of people who were frightened and the sweat of people who were calm, then had total strangers smell it without ever telling them what it was. The people who breathed in the fear, sweat showed measurable fear responses of their own. Their faces tensed, their attention sharpened. They turned more cautious, all from a smell they couldn't consciously detect. Happiness seems to work the same way. The sweat of a happy person can quietly nudge a stranger toward feeling good. Your ancestors lived packed together, sharing the same air and the same scent every hour of every day, which means an entire group could feel a threat before anyone had seen it. Fear spreading invisibly from body to body, faster than a single word could be spoken. They didn't just smell each other. On some level, they felt each other. Think about what that means for a moment. In a world with no writing, no photographs, no way to record anything, scent was a kind of identity card you couldn't fake. You knew your family by how they smelled. You knew a stranger was a stranger before they spoke. You could smell sickness in a person days before they looked sick. The nose wasn't a decoration on the front of the face. It was a survival instrument. So what did they actually smell like? Let's build it piece by piece. Start with smoke. For hundreds of thousands of years, fire was the center of human life. Your ancestors slept near it, cooked over it, and huddled around it every night. That smoke soaked into their hair, their skin, the animal hides they wore. A prehistoric human almost certainly carried the deep, woody smell of wood smoke everywhere they went, not as an accident, but as a permanent layer of who they were. And then there's the diet. They ate what they could hunt, gather, and dig up. Wild meat, roots, tubers, bitter plants we'd never recognize as food. What you eat seeps out through your pores and your breath, and their diet was nothing like ours. No sugar, no processed oil, no salt by the spoonful. Their scent would have been earthier, gamier, sharper than almost any human you've ever stood next to. And then there's the simple fact that no one was washing it away. There was no soap. For most of human history, the very idea of scrubbing your scent off your body would have made no sense at all. Water was for drinking, not for daily bathing. So, a layer of oils, sweat, smoke, and the slow work of skin bacteria built up over a lifetime. To us, that sounds unbearable. But here's the part that's hard to wrap your head around. They almost certainly couldn't smell it. Your sense of smell has a built-in feature called olfactory adaptation, When you're exposed to a constant smell, your brain quietly stops reporting it. It's why you can't smell your own home, even though every visitor can. Now stretch that across an entire society where everyone carried roughly the same layered, smoky, earthy scent all the time, from birth. There was no clean baseline to compare against. The smell wasn't background noise to them. It was simply the smell of being alive, the same way the air is to you right now. But here's where it gets stranger. They didn't just tolerate scent. They worshipped it. The moment humans had any surplus at all, they started reaching for smell. Some of the oldest luxury goods in human history weren't gold or jewels. They were fragrances. Frankincense and myrrh were once worth their weight in precious metal, traded across entire continents along routes that took months to cross. Ancient Egyptians built scent into their religion, burning incense to speak to their gods and soaking the dead in fragrant oils to carry them into the afterlife. The Romans bathed in perfume. Entire economies rose and fell on the trade of a good smell. Think about that. People who lived inside what we'd call an overwhelming stench spent fortunes, fought wars, and built trade empires, all to add more scent to their world, not to cover themselves up, to decorate themselves, to send a message, because they understood something we've half forgotten. That smell is one of the most powerful forces acting on the human mind, and it still is. It's just been turned against its own history. Here's the reframe. We didn't conquer body odor because it was a problem. We invented the problem and then we sold the solution. For most of human history, your natural scent was simply you. Then, a little over a century ago, companies discovered that the fastest way to sell soap and deodorant was to convince people their own bodies were offensive. Advertising taught entire generations to be ashamed of a smell every human who ever lived had carried without a second thought. We didn't clean ourselves up because we suddenly smelled worse. We did it because we were told to feel disgusted by something that had been part of us the whole time. And scent runs deeper in the brain than almost anything else. Every other sense you have gets routed through a kind of relay station before reaching the parts of your brain that handle memory and emotion. Smell skips the line. It plugs directly into the oldest, most emotional regions of the brain, the same circuits that handle memory and raw feeling. That's why a single whiff of something can drag a forgotten moment back from 20 years ago, fully formed, faster than any photograph ever could. Your ancestors lived saturated in those triggers every minute of every day. Their world was emotionally louder than ours in a way we can barely imagine. So picture it now, the whole thing at once. A person from 30,000 years ago, skin layered with wood smoke and the oils of a lifetime. A scent carrying their diet, their health, their fear, the entire chemical story of their body, broadcasting it constantly to everyone around them. To you, dropped into their world, it would hit like a wall. But to them, it was simply the smell of family, the smell of home, the smell of being human. And we washed it off. We didn't lose it to time, the way we lost their languages or their faces. We chose this. Every morning, in the shower, with a bar of soap, billions of us quietly erased the one thing every human before us wore for 300,000 years. We replaced an ancient language with a blank page and called it being clean. Maybe that's progress. Maybe it's just a trade. We gave up a sense our ancestors trusted with their lives, and in return, we get to smell like almost nothing at all. And most of us will never even know what we let go.